Global Multidão, realizing just transitions. Welcome to the German Climate Pavilion at COP30 in Billey.
Hello and welcome everybody here at the German Climate Pavilion. It's lovely to see so many of you making space in your busy calendars. Thank you so much for joining us for this side event when we will debate on the topic of local communities combating deforestation in Brazil. As I mentioned, I'm so much looking forward to discuss with you the role of local communities in combating deforestation and of course how to strengthen it with a particular focus on innovative and tailored financial instruments. So we're going to talk about finances, of course, as well, as these are, ladies and gentlemen, the key elements of a new project. You can see it here, developed by Caritas, the Brazilian CSO network, ASA and Rede Cerrado, and UNDP, just to name a few, which is set to start in December. The project's political partner is the Brazilian Ministry for Environment and Climate Change, and it's also, that's to be mentioned, co-funded by the International Climate Initiative under the German Ministry for Environment, Climate Action and Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. So besides to welcome you all, I also welcome Alexandre Pires, Director of the Department for Combating Desertification, representing the National Secretary of Traditional Peoples and Communities and Sustainable Rural Development. Thank you for being here and for making time also in your calendar. And also welcome to Diego Costa Pereira, the General Coordinator for Deforestation Control, representing the Extraordinary Secretariat for Deforestation Control. But I also, of course, welcome my distinguished panelists. A warm welcome to all of you. I will give you the proper introduction in just a second, but thank you again for making time here as well. And to all of you, of course, again, thank you for coming. We will have several languages here, of course, so if you are in need of a translation device, Portuguese, Spanish, English, mainly Portuguese and English, please find and help yourself here at the counter with the translation devices. So I look forward to a very inspiring exchange. We will also have the opportunities for your questions, so the microphone is ready. Get your questions ready. And with that, let's have a look into the project and into our topic with a short but precise video. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the video makers and the photographers for that introduction into our topic, of course. And now we start with our first keynote, and I welcome the Director General for International European Policy from the Federal Ministry for Environment, Climate Action, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, Dr. Eva Kracht.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I'm delighted to be here today to launch this important project on tackling deforestation. In Belém, it is more obvious than ever that we cannot achieve our climate targets without nature, and especially without intact forests. And even more important, we need a healthy natural environment as the foundation of all areas of our lives and economic activities. The Brazilian presidency was very much right to make combating deforestation a priority of this COP. The international community has set itself the goal of ending deforestation and forest degradation by 2030. But we really need more forest restoration to reverse the trend. So far, we have not managed to stop deforestation. Last year, more than 8 million hectares of forest were lost. And we are still a long way from reaching our goal to halt forest degradation. This includes many of our countries, and it includes Germany as well. Recently, our German forests have shifted from being a net sink to being a net source. In other words, all of us have to do more and to do better. If we harness the synergies between biodiversity conservation, climate action, and tackling land degradation, it not only helps us to overcome shortfalls, it's also a way to create new sources of income. As host of COP30, Brazil has laid important foundations for international forest conservation. The Tropical Forest Forever Facility, TFFF, and the call to action on integrated fire management and wildfire resilience are coming at just the right time. 2024 was the hottest year on record worldwide. We are fast approaching tipping points in the climate system, including the loss of tropical rainforest, with potential massive impacts on rainfall and the climate all over the world. This is why we are committed to healthy and climate-resilient forests. At international level, Germany supports implementation of the Bond Challenge with its goal of restoring 350 million hectares of forest and forest landscapes by 2030. Our Chancellor also promised a substantial contribution of Germany to the TFFF, and we're working on making that more concrete. In Germany, we support at the national level private and municipal forest owners through our action plan on nature-based solutions for climate and biodiversity. Our goal is to strengthen the resilience and adaptability of forests, to increase their biodiversity and preserve their function as natural carbon sinks. In September, my minister Carsten Schneider presented his proposals to update this national action plan. They include many additional forest measures, and we want ecosystems to become our allies again in the fight against climate change. We congratulate our Brazilian partners on your new action plans for the prevention and control of deforestation. They are important milestones in ending deforestation, and they are a key contribution to achieving Brazil's climate goals. I am delighted to announce that Germany will support implementation of these action plans with 30 million euros from our international climate initiative for the Networks for Conservation project. This Caritas project shows how climate action and nature conservation can go hand in hand with social equity, participation and economic opportunities. Indigenous peoples and local communities will work towards the designation, consolidation and improved management of nature conservation areas. The project covers 5 large mosaic landscapes across more than 9 million hectares. And I want to stress that the focus, of course, here in Belém is on the Amazon region, for good reasons too. We all know how important the Amazon is. But this focus, especially in focusing on the other 5 forest biomes of Brazil, which are also essential to forest protection, and you will learn more about that throughout this event. The project aims to create income for 25,000 families. They will get access to financial services and innovative finance instruments for forest conservation. This is how effective climate action can be successful. People take on responsibility for nature and they get something back in return. My minister had the chance to visit the Ilha do Cambu and Abacatau over the weekend, and we experienced just that. Local communities taking care of their forests and getting something in return, having various ways of providing income to the communities from what the forests have on offer. Climate action will only gain acceptance if people see it as useful and not as overwhelming. This is a fundamental insight behind the global ethical stocktake. We support this approach by creating local income opportunities for traditional communities through nature conservation measures. Combining climate action and social equity is just as important in Germany as in Brazil. We have established with the Brazilian government a whole-of-government partnership for a socially just and ecological transformation. Together, we want to increase trust in the climate negotiation and build bridges between North and South. The Networks for Conservation project is a great example of collaboration in practice. I wish this project every success to benefit forests, the climate, and us all. And I thank all of the project partners, and I know there are many partners in this project. And I hope for a good exchange today. I'm looking forward to learn more about the project as it evolves during the implementation phase. And I have to excuse myself, I will need to leave because I have commitments at another event shortly after this. But I'm really curious to learn more about the project over time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eva Kracht. And with that, we are coming to our next keynote, and I warmly welcome both of the speakers. We have the Secretary of Biodiversity, Forests and Animal Rights with us, Rita de Guimarães Mesquita, together with the National Secretary for Bioeconomy Brazil, Carina Pimenta. Thank you so much. The stage is yours.
Good afternoon, and many thanks for the German government for the invitation here, and for us having the space to showcase how this project connects with the public policy and also supports many of the Brazilian policies in terms of reaching out to the communities that we have across Brazil. I would like to start thanking our bilateral relationship with Germany that has already made so many supports for the bioeconomy strategy and many other areas that connect with our targets of reducing deforestation. And very happy to be here to celebrate and to understand better the scope of this project. I remember when we started the PPCDs, the plans for controlling deforestation, which is led by another vice ministry within the Ministry of Environment. One of the areas we were most concerned about was how we were going to tackle the challenges that we have in terms of promoting sustainable activities on the ground. How the portfolio of policies would be then directed to support the sustainable development of communities. It started in the Amazon and moved for each of the plans for the regions. The same questions arised for us. And for us in the Bioeconomy Secretariat, that was one of the questions that led us to enhance the policy making within Brazil, and building a portfolio of normatives for that. You know, Brazil has, for the first time, a policy on bioeconomy among the UK government, who has already a history of circular, sustainable bioeconomy. For us, this is a very special one because it includes nature and communities in the forefront of this policy. And not only fighting deforestation, but actually conserving our forests. Our Secretary of Biodiversity is here, who is a force within the ministry, to say we have to work with the conservation also and the restoration of these forests. And the sustainable use is a very important piece of this strategy. Thinking about that, we developed the national strategy on bioeconomy, and we developed the plan on bioeconomy, which was presented here a couple of days ago, with 8 priorities. And among those priorities, there are 2 that led to community enterprises that lead us to the social bioeconomy that we are talking here about within this project. And this is a national strategy that combines different policies from the Ministry of Environment, but also from agrarian reform, from other regions, industry, economy, and so forth. The idea is that we connect these policies and we support projects like the ones we are seeing here, led by Caritas and the group of partners who will be talking about it. And I'm very glad that this project that IKI, I don't know how to pronounce that, it's IKI, yeah? Good, thank you. That IKI accepted the challenge for us, that was not to invest in the Amazon in this type of topic, but that we would look beyond the Amazon to the other regions of Brazil. That was an ask from the ministry, and I'm very thankful that we had these results, and that led to this consortium of very powerful organizations across Brazil that are having the challenge now of implementing this project. And I wanted to say that the public policy is with us hand in hand. We hope that this will connect with the plans of the ministry ministry not only in the social bioeconomy side, but also connects with the newly launched policy Prospera Socio-Bio, which is a program from the ministry to help create, to strengthen the community enterprises across Brazil. And I know we have been already talking during the design phase and seeing the connections that we see among these projects and the policy making. Just to end, I think this is one of the most important topics within our commitment to zero deforestation by 2030, because we failed before in establishing the policies that will endure in terms of the sustainable development for communities. And I think this is the cycle of prosperity that Minister Marina has been talking about across the COP and across Brazil, that we wanted to see happen. The Ministry of Environment is committed to that, the different secretariats, our ICMBio, our other IBAMA, and Forest Service also, and other areas in the administration also. So I think we should get to know better the project, how they are going to talk about, but the emphasis on local communities for us is the most important part of this, because it creates, it occupies a place where we know we lack a lot and we are lagging behind in terms of offering solutions in the short term. So thank you, and I hope this will lead us to many projects like this, because that's what we want to see, is this community enterprises occupying the rightful place in the economy, and also that guarantees that they are not only protecting the biomes, the biodiverse that they are, but they are recognized as a strong piece of our economic sphere. Not because they represent a huge GDP, but because they represent the population that it needs the distribution and the results that the GDP should generate for us in terms of social and environmental development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karina Pimenta. And of course, now this is the perfect timing for group photos. So may I ask you, of course, Rita, and all the panelists, because we have different schedules, different calendars, this is the perfect timing to get everybody on the photograph. So please, Lucely, Fabiola, Zerbini, Manuel, Brettschneider, Rita de Cássia, Mesquita, and Eva Kracht. And you get your cell phones ready, because this is now, of course, the photo. No, come here in front. Yeah. Okay. Oops, I'm getting out of the photo. Smashing the tables. Thank you. Is this do we have everybody? Is someone missing? 2, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, smile. Who has the lead camera so that everybody is looking in the right camera? Perfect. I think we have it, right? Do I get a thumbs up? Okay. And my panelists, please stay with me as we are... Yes. Stay with me, Lucely, Fabiola, Zerbini, Manuel, Brettschneider. And of course, Karina Pimenta, because you will be also... I hope you got briefed on this, that you will be also on the panel. You also have to leave, or no? Perfect. Perfect, okay. As I mentioned before, we will speak in English and Portuguese, so if you are in need of a translation device, please help yourself. And we get into our panel. So we all know, of course, Karina Pimenta. Thank you very much for your keynote. To the right, we have Lucely Pio. She's the co-coordinator of the Rede Cerrado and a local leader, Quilombola leader, co-coordinator of... I hope it works. Do you understand me with the translation? Perfect. You're Quilombola leader, excuse me. You're the co-coordinator of the Rede Cerrado on Cerrado medicinal knowledge, and thank you so much, obrigada, for being here. Lucely. We're coming to your point in a second. And next to me is seated Fabiola Zerbini. She's the executive director of Connexus and a seasoned expert when it comes to sustainable finance, forests, land use and development with over 20 years of experience. And we are so pleased to have you on our panel as well. Obrigada, thank you. And last but not least, a very gender-balanced panel here, I must say. Manuel Brettschneider. He's responsible for Caritas Germany's projects in Brazil, and he serves as the project lead when it comes to networks for conservation, bringing over 10 years of experience in transnational cooperation with a strong focus on Brazil. And I know it's hot, but please honor our panelists with a round of applause. Beautiful. So in this debate, and of course with your questions as well, we would like to dive deeper into how Germany and Brazil can effectively work together to provide enabling frameworks for forestry and biodiversity conservation, and of course what can we learn from and how can we effectively support the sustainable practices of traditional and indigenous communities. And last but not least, when we talk about finance and money, we need to also question on how can the finance bottleneck for local communities and the socio-bioeconomy in Brazil be overcome. And I'd like to start with Lucely, with your question, because you bring in a very specific, of course, perspective onto this panel. So the first question, I'm honored to pose the question to you, and we all want to learn from you. How do indigenous and traditional communities contribute to the protection of biomes, and how can this important role be further strengthened from your experience, from something that is so dear to your heart?
Boa tarde a todos e a todas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wish to thank for this opportunity to be together. For us at the Rede Cerrado and the partner networks, it's amazing to have these biomes together because it's the first project that brings together the traditional communities in the scope of preservation, having all 5 biomes together, which has been our long dream, and now we see it come true. It's a work which we're going to do with a lot of love, because for us, the peoples and traditional communities, sustainability, social bioeconomy, and also traditional health is also very important to us, because we have this strong work within the communities to work with preservation and to prevent deforestation. For us, traditional peoples and communities, we have a daily struggle in order to keep this biodiversity standing, because that's where we take our livelihoods, our living pharmacy, and also our food. And for us to be able to support this standing forest is something very special. In our territories, we not only bring all of that, it is an ancestral territory, and we have oral traditions, and we also work everything in its time. The moon is important, all natural periods are important. So these resources, when they come directly to the community, they're going to help us to stop deforestation and also help us to restore the forest where it's been cut down. So we have to think about, in order to restore the spaces that have been degraded. And we can see that these resources are adding. This partnership is a partnership that's going to help us recover, and also is going to bring restoration. We're going to restore a lot and bring deforestation zero. That's what we want, zero deforestation. And that's what we're working for. That's why we're here together with this partnership with the German Parliament and also Rede Cerrado and the other networks which are partners, for us to be able to realize the stream of all these traditional communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucely. I would love to, because you mentioned, of course, or the project was already mentioned. So Fabiola, we need to talk about the finance side, of course, as well. So, and of course, the innovative instruments when it comes to finance. So from your perspective and also from your experience, what role do financing instruments then play? And of course, also in this context, but also what are the experiences so far when it comes to this very innovative instruments of the project?
Alô, boa tarde.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm going to speak in Portuguese for everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to the German government. Thank you, Caritas International, and this consortium of entities with so much history in the economic, rural, local community development of Quilombola, Indigenous, and so many biomes in our country. We're in the Amazon, but we are a very diverse country with so many biomes. And it's great to have the opportunity to talk about this systemic use of the land in our country. Well, first of all, I think on top of the COP, this is the COP of the communities. I think this is the COP where the territories led by communities or the communities in their territories are at the core of the climate agenda. And it is this core which needs, on top of the demarcation and the guarantee of land, to guarantee good use of this land. How do I take wealth? How do I distribute it? And based on my traditional knowledges and also a little bit of technology, why not? And some innovation, I can get my livelihood for my family, but also for my city. And why not feeding an economic model, the world economy, the whole world? So for that, there is a package of components which are very necessary for this development, this economic development, in order to ensure the territorializing of the communities and also the conservation and restoration. They are necessary, which has to do with technical assistance, a kind of advisory role, and the management, business management, why not, and credit, of course, financial mechanisms. So first of all, Connexus believes that there is no way to work a financial mechanism or credit without this integrated package of actions, because credit and financing have to be an empowering factor and not indebtedness. And for that, the community has to be very well advised and to be aware and with full technical capacity, but also power in their hands to be able to make the best use of this credit. And second, we also have a combination of resources which come from international cooperation, philanthropically, but also public and private resources, grants which are often directed to other agendas, but also after this COP and others, but especially this one, more and more they will be directed to the climate transition, one of which is rural credit, which in our country is a very important resource, 78 billion reais a year devoted to agriculture, family agriculture, and by extension, Quilombola, indigenous and traditional communities territories. Now I'm not getting any sound. And social biodiversity. So our territory, we have biomes in the Amazon, and especially the local communities who have this access. So that is where Connexus has been operating, combining resources and be able. It isn't working. Is it working now? Yeah. Can you hear us? Is it working?
Yes, you were just stopped, but we hear you back.
Okay, okay. All right.
Into the translators. Maybe can you? Yes, perfect. Can you go back to the last two sentences with the philanthropic approaches? I mean, this is where we had the cutoff. Please stop. Continue from there.
So based on what I brought, an example that the rural credit policy in our country, combined with the philanthropic resources and cooperation, they can then potentialize the social and the environmental impact to which it is destined. And this is the case of an arrangement which we act in some territories in the whole of Brazil with some partners that are here, which is a model for working technical assistance and also stakeholders that come to help the communities to access credit to then get a kind of a scholarship for 18 months and operating with public banks in our country to promote the credit.
We're coming, of course, to some of the keywords again in the second round. Thank you very much for that. In the second round, thank you very much for that first impression. Manuel, of course, bringing in the perspective of Caritas. Caritas stands for human dignity and, of course, the fight against poverty in many different perspectives and local contexts. But tell us a little bit more, what contribution do you expect from the project that we were listening to in that regard?
Olá. Sim, primeiramente, antes de começar, eu queria dar também as boas-vindas, obviamente, dos representantes dos ministérios, mas também das redes que estão aqui conosco, a Rede ASA, a Rede Cerrado, ASA representado por várias pessoas.
Presented by several people, and Cícero Félix, the president of Rede Cerrado, Ingrid Silveira, executive secretary, and also Ecovida Network, represented by André Luiz, general coordinator. And obviously, there are several members and also the representatives of UNDP. Welcome all of you to this event. Well, Caritas has a DNA of an organization which helps people in need. And with that, we've been working for decades globally with these groups, these local partners, and we understand that the humanitarian and social issues are also aligned closely with the challenges such as ecological and economic challenges. And we would like to have an impact. And for that, we have to work these dimensions jointly. So we're very convinced of that. And the local communities, the peoples and traditional communities, and the local communities in a broader sense, historically, they suffer from exclusion in Brazil, but in many other countries also. And these communities, they also contribute very little to climate change, but they're very affected by the results of climate change. So after that, they also think about short-term profit, which destroys the climate, the environment, and also the basis of the communities. And in that sense, we understand that this project is very dear to Caritas Germany because it strengthens an economic model which aims at strengthening the potential of these communities and also the needs of the communities, and also offers an alternative to economic practices which are destructive. So the chains of social biodiversity, access to financing, and improving management and territorial protection, the connection between traditional knowledge and scientific approaches, which help develop solutions based on nature. And all of that allows for a dignified life and the strengthening of the territories at the same time that it contributes significantly to fight deforestation. It protects nature and the climate, so especially the Brazilian biomes. And with that, it manages to support or increase the resiliency of human environmental environments. In that sense, I would like to thank immensely the German Ministry of the Environment, the International Initiative for Climate Protection, and the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change in Brazil, with which we have been working on this project. And, well, we are eager to start the implementation, this joint implementation, where people and communities are going to be at the core of the implementation.
Thank you, Manuel. I'm coming back now to Karina because you mentioned already a few points in your keynote, but combining, of course, this local perspective, but also integrating the local knowledge in the implementation of the projects. You know, what is a key factor that is a priority for you from the Brazilian government to push these projects more?
There's no one single priority. For us, when we were designing the policy on social bioeconomy, which this project is part of the implementation plan for that, one of the demands that came from communities was not, it comes everything. It comes from water to connectivity to rights, territorial rights, and then all what Fabiola just said. It talks about finance, we know what has to be done. But Brazil has failed before, not because we don't know what we have to do, but we have failed because we didn't create a system in which these things are done and done and done. What we need is endurance. What we need for this type of policy that supports the territory is not that we support them today and not tomorrow. Is that we have, a timeline of supporting 10 years of commitment from public policies and partners so that we can see a different things happening in the territory. We didn't talk here, but this continuation is for sure one of the topics that most resent us in terms of delivering rightful results in social bioeconomy. And that was the question that from the policy point of view we try to address by creating this ecosystem, by creating in the policy a territorial approach in which a system of supporting with services like technical assistance for the business, for the production, capacity building being in entrepreneurship. Por que eu estou falando em inglês? Nossa. Desculpa. Eu vou até falar em português porque eu estou traduzindo.
Talking about public policies, I was looking at you and I was thinking, why am I speaking English? I'm going to switch back into Portuguese, so please turn on your headsets if you need English. So this was one of the issues which was bothering us, which were demands that came from a public consultation. It's not something that came out of the ministry, out of someone's cabinet or any kind of idea of one single organization. This was really a very enriching public consultation, and this territorial approach was fundamental. In that sense, we want this project to be grounded. Brazil has built through its social bioeconomy notion of priority territories in the Amazon, 16 of them, which combine the territories where we see traditional peoples and communities producing, where we can see their production, and where we want to act with this set of services. Public policies won't be created on its own. It will be jointly with the communities and civil society because this stays in the territory. When Fabiola says that you have to have the credit agency to do the financial education and information, this is a profession. There is going to be somebody there at the community which is going to have that knowledge. That's what we want, to spread the knowledge. And this system is the vision of public policy. So when this project tries to work with the different groups of communities in the territories, I want it to be connected to these territories where we can complement with public policies. Because you have the resources, but if the policy doesn't come with them, what are we going to do later, right? So I think this is the point I wanted to highlight and say that this is work which is very important, connecting these different stakeholders, the leaderships that represent the civil society, that is paramount in the structure, also the international cooperation of supporting public policies for the implementation, and also the government for really delivering the policies that we need for those who really need it.
Thank you very much, obrigada. Thank you very much, obrigada. Thank you. I'll have a look around. Are there any questions from the audience? Do you have a question? Because now this would be the time for your concrete question. And please, not all at once. Otherwise, of course, I continue. Wonderful. Okay, I don't see any hands. Well, then I turn back to Lucely, because, of course, again, is there a question? Who has a question? Manuel, who? No, this gentleman is leaving, I guess. Or do you have a question? Oh. Please, please get off the stage because you're standing now in front of the camera. So there's a camera just in your back. Please go to your left. Turn to your left with the gentleman with the red shirt because off the stage, please. And then to the gentleman to the right. Because you're standing, we have 3-4 different cameras. Wonderful. Okay. Tell us who you are and then your concrete question, please.
Obrigado.
Thank you. My name is Pedro. I'm from Funatura, one of the organizations which is part of the Rede Cerrado. We're here with the Central do Cerrado saying that we thank the Ministry of the Environment for having raised this issue with the German ministry, which is an effort to reduce the non-Amazon biomes. Brazil has been performing well in the Amazon, and this is a fundamental strategy to reduce the Amazon biomes. We come from Cerrado, which is very threatened with Caatinga, Pantanal, and this project has a fundamental strategy. And the value, the resource that will be invested is quite significant. We have to thank Manuel from Caritas, who led the process, which was not easy, with ASA, Ecovida, and Cerrado, to create such a project, really so complex. And we're very grateful to come here with this feeling of victory, of being able to create such a strong, we have Funatura, we have a very strong mosaic. I see Rita Mesquita, connectivity of the landscapes and implementation of the mosaics and creation of new mosaics as a way of leveraging social bioeconomy and reducing deforestation. So that's what I wanted to say. In fact, it wasn't really a question. I just wanted to... Luis, do you want...
Now coming along. You continue, you have a question? It's a comment, okay.
Yes. Only a comment. Thank you.
Obrigada. Thank you very much. One more question from the audience, or maybe another short comment? Okay, well then I would finish up to ask the last question to Lucely. We heard so many different perspectives now, and of course it's such an honor to have you with us in that COP of the people. So we would like to learn and to hear from you what would be important for local communities to receive from international communities and from, of course, the governments, that you feel more seen, that you get more empowered, that you can do the work that you are doing. It's not the call for a long wish list, but it's the question, the honest question, where do you see a gap right now that we should fill with what you experience?
Well, to us, the traditional peoples and communities, we need a lot of partnerships, not a project that is short-term. We need long-term projects, because for us to restore an area, for us to strengthen our work within the community, we have to have a kind of follow-up, which is long-term. So for that, we need partnerships with the German parliament, as well as the Brazilian government, so that we can work with the community, respecting the timeline of the community and their timing, because the community has its knowledge, it has its way of working in the biome, and also a way of preserving, so that it should be a joint work, everybody hand in hand together, so that we can develop this work with success. So we need a lot of partnership, and also respecting the timeline and the timing of the communities, because we have a different timing.
Thank you, Fabiola. Lucely, you mentioned partnerships, so allow me one, quick question to Fabiola, because when it comes to partnerships, not just the NGO, civil society actors or the government actors are in need, but also the question of how to get more private capital into these partnerships and leveraging more private capital. You're an expert on sustainable finance. Do you have any recipe on that big gap? because we have another event just coming around the corner. Thank you.
Bom, primeiramente, acho que trazer, né, que
Well,
as
first of
comunidades
all,
locais,
I think we have to say that the local communities organized in associations and cooperative is also a private sector. It's an economic sector that has to be seen as such. So strengthening them is already a kind of articulation of private capital. Beyond that, we also have arrangements which combine credit with purchasing, and they're very smart. For example, the buyers, public procurement, but also institutional private procurement that ensures as guarantors that these communities can produce and access credit and then strengthen themselves economically. There's several examples, but we have no time. I think it's possible. Brazil has a lot of experience in that sense. And the networks that are here have been acting for many years with these partners, Cerrado, Ecovida, and ASA. And I think this project can then optimize and strengthen those partnerships.
Wonderful. So it's only the beginning. Thank you so much for only the beginning. Thank you so much for coming by, for joining this conversation. Thank you to my panelists. Obrigada to all of you. Thank you for making time, and of course for you for joining us. We can mingle for another 10 minutes. Of course, please feel invited to always come by here, the German Climate Pavilion, and the project experts. They are here. Manuel will be also here to answer your questions in case there are more questions around. I'm so happy to see you all. Thanks again for coming by, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Global Multidão, realizing just transitions. Welcome to the German Climate Pavilion at COP30 in Billey.